It's not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. So, most men are not stuck because they're short on options. They're stuck because they do not know who they are. Today, I'm giving you guys the principles that is going to address and fix that. So, welcome to another episode of From Shadows of Strength. I'm Tyson, and in the room with me is Jay, and you'll be hearing from him shortly. So last episode, we talked about beginning again when everything feels like it's falling apart. Today, we kind of go to the next layer. Now, once you decide to rebuild, what do you build on? Because what you had before isn't going to work now. The answer is principles, not motivation, not hype. Principles you can stand on when everything else is shaking. I'm going to give you 7 of them. The ones that actually changed my life while I was in prison. So responsibility, alignment, decision minimization, and a lot of the time we have too much on our plate, so we're going to go into that. Habit stacking, gratitude, delayed gratification, and guarding your attention. So let us get into it. So responsibility and alignment. This is kind of the foundation. So principle 1, responsibility. Nothing in your life changes until you take full ownership of it. Not most of it, all of it. The parts that are your fault and even the parts that are not your fault. Now, when I was inside, it would have been easy for me to want to blame everyone. And in fact, that's what I did for the first part. The system, my past, the people around me. But blame is a cage with the door left open. So as long as I was pointing at someone else, I stayed locked in. The day I took responsibility for where I was, that is the day I started to regain my freedom. Now, responsibility, it's not about guilt. It's actually about power. Because if it's on me, then it's also in my hands. It's in your hands to change. That is good news. Okay, that's not bad news, guys. Now, principle 2, alignment. This is when who you say you are and what you actually do are the same thing. Now, most men are living outside of alignment and then they wonder why they're exhausted. They say family matters most. Then they hand family the leftovers of their day because they have nothing left to give. They say they want to be healthy, but they treat their body like a trash can. Alignment is when your calendar matches your values. When the man you are at home, the man you are at work, and the man you are when no one is watching are all the same man. There's no mask, there's no show being put on. That is where peace comes from. Not from doing more, but from doing what matters in line with who you are. So Jay, let's switch things over to you. The military runs pretty much on extreme ownership. Right? You own the mission, you own your mistakes, there's no excuses. Now, when you left and that structure was gone, did you keep owning your life or did you drift for a while? And if you drifted, what pulled you back to take responsibility?
I always kept the discipline of the military in my life. It was 28 years, so I don't even think I could stop it even if I wanted to. I mean, there was times that VJ saw me after I retired and I was at the gym at like 7 a.m. And he's like, what are you doing here? It's 7 a.m. I'm like, I don't know. I just woke up and thought since I'm up, I might as well come to the gym. He's like, why don't you come when it's less busy and start enjoying the quiet times of the gym and stuff like that. So I always kept that like discipline of working out and, taking care of the house and myself and eating proper. So I always kept that part. What I kind of struggled with is like taking care of myself mentally when I got out. I kept going to the gym and I kept all that discipline, but where I fell off track was taking care of myself mentally. I thought, okay, well, now that I'm in the military, everything will be fine because I'm not in a stressful job anymore. So I won't have PTSD anymore because I'm not in the job anymore. I kind of thought because I got out, it would cure itself. If I'm not in a stressful job, then my stress should go away. But it doesn't work like that, which I found out the hard way. And yeah, but that was the only thing where I really fell off thinking, because I was so confident that once I retired, I thought I would be smelling roses, smiling every day, all the PTSD and stress would go away, and I just thought I would enjoy my golden years, as they call it. But it's weird, but you actually need more help when you stop doing the work, because you don't, as you say, you don't have the distraction. So because I didn't have the distractions, because I didn't have something to keep me occupied during the day, all day, and I didn't have to plan and train people and all that sort of stuff, all of a sudden it's just you and your lovely brain with your thoughts, and I was not prepared for that one.
Yeah, I can relate to that 6x8 cell thought process that I went through for years, right? The elephant that we avoided in the room, sometimes we push it off to the corner. Thing is, the elephant's still in the room. No matter where you put him in the room, he's there. And when you're left alone with the elephant, and you're right, when there's no distractions, you're like, oh, damn, like I got a problem. I got to face this problem. And more often than not, you actually hit a point right on the head. And this is not off topic, but I think this addresses the issue that the majority of the men that I work with face. It's the fact that they haven't addressed the mental aspect, the mental health aspect. And look, June is mental health awareness for men, because it's kind of the silent killer. We all struggle with it in some way, shape, or form, but we don't talk about it, because if we acknowledge it, well, then you're weak and you're letting it dominate your life. But it already is. It's just doing it from the background.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's always there. You're just, no, distraction, coping, vice, you're running around it, but it's still affecting you in the background. It's like a puppet master, it's pulling the strings. So it affects you in so many avenues of your life. So, I mean, that's a big thing for you to mention that, because it's an important thing for men to hear that even the best of the best, someone who is in these special forces, struggled with this area. We all do, guys. So thank you, Jay. I appreciate that.
It kind of reminds me of one of my favorite movies, Shawshank Redemption.
Mine too.
And he talks about, when those bars close for the first time and you have all the time in the world just to sit there with your thoughts. And that's what retirement from special forces is like. That's what what it's like from when those bars do close, and you're just like, wow, now I don't have any support. It's just me, me and my house and whatever. And so that's where you find sometimes the good or the bad avenues to deal with it. At first you think, oh, I'll have a couple drinks. It's just pre-retirement stress. It's
the jitters.
Yeah. I'm just not used to it. I'll get in the groove soon. I'll start relaxing soon. And then 3 months down the road, I'm not relaxing. Something's not right here, and yeah. And you keep thinking next month will be better. That was my favorite one that I always used on myself. Next month I'll be better. Next month the sun will be out and then I'll be fine. Oh, next month it'll be a little cooler, not as hot, and I'll be better. I was famous for next month.
Yeah, and again, I think this resonates with a lot of the listeners. It's just trying to put off today to tomorrow what can be done today. Addressing something that desperately needs to be addressed, but a lot of the time, again, we don't know where to start. And there's, even though there's a ton of self-help, self-care manuals out there, it's still just always going to be a struggle for us as men. So yeah, again, thank you for sharing that, brother. I appreciate that. So going into segment 2, decisions and the morning. This is kind of who you are in action. So this goes into principle 3, decision minimization. So a lot of men think they have a time management problem. They don't. They have a decision-making problem. They burn hours going back and forth, do I do this or do I do that? Will people agree or will they disagree? Is it perfect yet? Is it right? There's all these things that are kind of time goblins. They consume our time. It's a waste of energy. So now here's the fix. When you know who you are, so again, that identity, the decision is already made. You stop asking, what will other people think? Because I think that's a big thing for most people, worried about, trying to please someone else. And when you start asking, what would the man I am becoming, what would he do? That cuts most of the noise out of your day right there. So again, it's not what does someone else want you to do. Sure, in your job, you have a role maybe you have to fulfill. But if you're going to do the job right, then all you have to do is do it in alignment with who you are and what you're trying or who you're trying to become. And then that's the majority of the problem right there. And then just keep it simple, guys. Use the KISS method, right? Keep it super simple. Or as my great-grandmother would say, keep it simple, stupid. So a lot of the time, we are not failing because we are doing too little. We are failing because we just have too much on our plate. So sometimes living better is not actually adding more things. It is removing the stuff that doesn't belong. So one thing I'd really recommend is look at what you're currently doing and then find out how can you trim the fat. Subtract, then act. Now, principle 4, habit stacking. So this is where I always say, win the morning and you win the day. Now, for me, I stack my first hour with as many small wins as I possibly can, because then my day, it's already starting me off with that inner self being full of self-care, full of, maybe not literal energy. There's some days where I'm a little tired and fatigued, but I have enough to address the day ahead and the problems that I might face. So think of that first hour as a time where you get up, you hydrate, get some water in you, then go for a walk. While I'm walking, I do my gratitude, and then I just kind of align with who I need to be on that given day. So, I got to show up as a husband every day, a mentor, a coach. Today, I have to, be a podcast host and make sure that I have a good subject to present to you, my listeners, with Jay. Then you want maybe time to do some reflection. Reflect upon, again, the day ahead and what do you have maybe for meetings or projects that are coming up, or maybe even plans with the family. Then fuel for the day. So nothing is going to be worse than running on empty. Does that mean you have to eat a big breakfast? No, I have plenty of people that I've worked with that like to push their first meal a little later on in the day, but don't just fuel up on caffeine and expect that to solve all your problems. It doesn't. So think of doing one habit, pick one thing, and then let it go into the next. It's like links in a chain. Now, why does this matter? Well, because problems are coming. They always come. But if I win my first hour, I meet those problems steady instead of scrambling. So if you don't wing your morning, then you're not going to wing your day, right? That's what most people are doing, is they design a morning routine that is not optimal. It's just running on default. It's your default setting. And that is actually what's setting you up for failure. Now, here's a part that most people miss. Something as small as how you wake up carries into everything else. That is not just discipline, that is identity. Thank you, Jay.
Sorry. It was my time to start the podcast. Sorry.
We've got your watch beeping. We've got the alarm going off. Like, you can tell this guy's retired. He's got all these things going on, like a geriatric, right? Like, if you were in his workplace, he'd be like, "Hey, pipe down, keep it down." Now he's just got everything buzzing and going off right now. But anyways, hey, I digress. Jay,
look
thank
what
you
Tyson
for
just said. Organize, so I have alarms to remind me of the daily activities I have to do. Alarms that tell me to hydrate, have my vitamins. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
there
a
you
perfect
go.
example.
See, be more like Jay.
Yeah.
Even if it costs you a couple seconds in your podcast, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's a little comic relief, a little break from the seriousness. But anyways, here's the point that most people miss. Something as small as how you wake up carries into everything else. Now that's not just about discipline. That is literally your identity. So every morning you're telling yourself what kind of man you are and what kind of man is going to show up for yourself, for your family, as a boss, as an employer, as a son, as a father, as a friend, as a brother, whatever it is. That is, I find, a big part of that missing puzzle piece when it comes to, again, why men just feel empty. Is this always coming down to that identity? Is we haven't identified who we are fundamentally. So Jay, for you, in the military, your mornings were structured for you. They were kind of handed to you, what you had to do. You didn't have a choice really. Up at a set time, structure all day. When you got out, now I know you said that you kept it for the most part. You were able to maintain that. What does your first hour look like now? And what happens, let's say, if you were to let it slip?
First hour now, it's different. Like, it's changed over time. You know what I mean? But now my first hour, I get up and it's like I agree with you on the first thing. It's like I don't look at my phone. I don't want to read news or the paper or anything like that. Like, I want to stay off that whole media. I actually get up, take all my vitamins, all the medication I need to do, stuff like that. And big thing is I go downstairs and I do my stretching. Like I have for my shoulder those stretching you have me on. So I do the stretching and then I try to meditate at the same time while I'm doing the stretching. So if I have to hold something for a good 30 seconds, well, I try and meditate for that 30 seconds of the stretch. So I'm not feeling the pain. I'm not kind of feeling anything. I'm doing the stretching and I'm trying to stretch and meditate at the same time. So that's what I find really helps for me, and then, so that whole stretching, meditating kind of takes about an hour for me, because I kind of do the whole body and my personal reflections in there as well, kind of like my clearing my head, start my day. And then from there, I'll usually start getting ready for the gym. I have my clothes laid out, my gym bag's ready to go. I'll have my creatine, whatever else I need to take and stuff like that. Sometimes I go with a little bit of food. Sometimes I don't like going with any food. All depends how I feel. If I feel a little weak or if I feel a little dehydrated and stuff like that. And then, off to the gym. And as you know, now this is for me. I know everybody can't do it, but I like to walk almost an hour before I start training with you. So I like to get my steps in, just get the body active, moving, kind of everything pumping, and then after that I start working out with you. Yeah.
I think actually that's really important that you said that, because a lot of guys, and this gets thrown around a lot in the fitness community and the culture that we have, is like optimized, right? Oh, doing cardio before your workout, that's not optimal. Look, guys, let's just be clear on something. What's optimal for one person is what works for that person. So if walking for an hour before you do your workout is what you like the best, then do that. If it's walking after your workout, then do that. If it's maybe doing your walk in the evening with your family or first thing in the morning or whatever it is, do that. Do some form of activity. Like Jay said, do something for your mental, your emotional, for your spiritual, and for your social. Again, we have 5 aspects of kind of what fundamentally makes up our human makeup. So physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and socially, like I just said. Okay. Now, when I went into prison, I was focused just on the physical. Physically, I was strong. I was on a lot of gear. I was strong. It's kind of what I needed to do in order to do what I needed to do. But the day I got sentenced, the day that judge handed down what I thought was going to be the rest of my life, spending potentially forever in prison, that strength, that physical strength, it counted for nothing. It didn't mean anything. So that's why it's so important that you find that balance. And I always kind of cringe when I hear people say, well, you don't need to worry about balance. Sometimes you just have to go. Okay, yes, there are times in our life where we have to push very hard. Some things might get pushed aside or sacrificed a little bit, but don't do that for long. Please, for the love of God, don't do that for long, because you will pay a heavy price when life gets lifing, when things go chaotic, or when something really bad happens. Then you won't have anything in your tank to handle and address that. So thank you, Jay, for kind of showing us again that optimal is really just what's best for each individual.
Yeah. And now that I'm older, I just find walking just loosens me up before I start lifting weights. And I'm just walking. Like I'm not running a 5K for time before I lift weights. Like I'm not killing myself cardio-wise and going right into the weights. I'm just walking because it loosens everything up. It helps my joints start moving. It helps. Sometimes my back is really stiff because I got an injury back there, and just walking gets it loose, So, but if I didn't walk before, I would walk after. I would definitely, split it up. Like tomorrow, we're changing our schedule, so I'm going to work out first and walk after. So it's not the end of the world to change it. It's just I want to make sure I get that walking in, because walking, I find, really helps my mental. I don't know what it is. I can put on a good song and just walking, whether it's outside or whatever, and it just, I don't know, I find it's really good for your brain. Just doing some steps. And, the treadmill's a little boring sometimes, I get it, but if outside is minus 40 winter or whatever and you can't, and all you have is a treadmill, you just walk on that treadmill and you start looking internally, and you start processing things internally. So I find I've done more thinking when I'm walking than I do when I'm meditating sometimes. And maybe it's just that when I'm walking, I'm more like I'm doing something so my brain can kind of get into the roots. But I find it easier for myself if I walk and think compared to meditating and thinking.
Fair enough. Interesting. All right. So, principle 5. This is another one, again, you heard just before when it came to winning the morning. So gratitude. Create an abundance mindset, because we live in a society of want and what we feel we need. And that's creating a scarcity mindset in so many. So when I say gratitude, I don't want you guys just to think of the soft version that we see on a coffee mug, right? I'm talking about a real practice, a real intentional effort. So every day I name what I'm grateful for. And I go through quite a big list, but I always ask my clients when they're starting this practice, name at least 3 things that you're grateful for and why you're grateful for them. Now you can either do this out loud while you're walking. That's what I do. That's why I'm glad I walk so early in the morning, because if someone saw me walking around talking out loud, they'd be like, oh, the guy's nuts. It's like, yeah, a little bit. But do it out loud, or even write it on paper if you feel that'll help. So it sounds small, I know that, but it rewires what your mind goes looking for. So a grateful man and a bitter man can be standing in the exact same life. The only difference between them is what they choose to see. And I think that's really important for people to understand. So in prison, gratitude is a part of what kept me human. It was a big part of creating a better version of myself. So if I could find one thing to be grateful for in there, then I can find it anywhere. Principle 6. Jay, we both talked about this just recently, a few minutes ago. Delay gratification. Right? That's a big one. So this is choosing what you want most over what you want right now. So the body you want is on the other side of the meal you skip. The marriage you want is on the other side of the argument you do not win just to protect your ego. almost everything good is on the other side of waiting. So our whole world is built to rob you of this. Everything is instant. One tap and it's at your door, right? I mean, look how many people DoorDash and what is it? Uber Eats has like created so many people just being lazy. So this principle now is harder than it's ever been, which is exactly why it is worth more than ever. Principle 7, guard your attention. This is the last one, guys. So limit the screen. The average, now this is crazy, but the average adult spends 4 to 5 hours a day on their phone. Yeah. 4 to 5 hours. 4 to 5 hours. Now, I want you to think about this. Take that across a year and then multiply it over 40 years. Do you know what the math is? And we talked about how much I hate math. We've talked about this before. I hate math. But this was good math. So Jay, you're good at math. What do you think that gives you out of your life? How many years?
Well, I'd say that's a good 7-8 years of your life.
8 years.
Yeah. And I just did the math quickly. I was like, that's a lot, man. Yeah.
8 years of your life spent like that. That's some scary, what we call it, stats right there. It's crazy. When I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to share this with the audience because I don't think many people understand. 8 years of your life gone looking at a box that gives you nothing. So think of 8 years. That's your kids growing up. That is your wife across the table. That is the sunrise on your walk that you never took. You don't get those 8 years back. Your attention is your life. So wherever your attention goes, that is where you actually live. So Jay, grief and rebuilding both test your patience, I'd say, harder than anything. There were faster ways to numb it and slower ways to actually heal, depending on what we choose. Where did delayed gratification show up for you? Choosing the hard thing over the quick fix.
I hate always going back to it, doing the same topic for people. I always hate that, but it's like PTSD, the quick fix was I had a drink, you know what I mean? Or I had a gummy, or, I like self-medicated, So that was the quick fix to me. And I thought it was working. For the longest time, I thought it was working. And I just thought, maybe I'm just very high strung now because of the job I had. So I need help calming down. So the docs were really quick at giving me meds to calm down. You know what I mean? They're really quick at that. So I thought with these meds to calm me down and everything else, I'd be great. But then once all that exploded because it didn't work and everything else, and I finally went for help and saw professionals and realized it's going to take like years to fix this problem, not just a few pills in a few weeks. Then I started, like, the gratitude I had then for actually going down that shitty road that I knew I was going to have to do. What I hated to do was talk to people about my feelings and my mental state, because guys don't do it. We don't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it for 28 years, And there's still days I go see my shrink and she's got to pull shit out of me, because sometimes I still to this day have trouble sometimes talking about stuff. But she's really good. She knows how to get in there. I mean, this is their job. This is what they're trained to do. So they can pull some crap out of you. But I'm so grateful that I actually finally went down the proper road. And it took me being hospitalized to do it, but if that was the wake up call I needed, I'm so glad I saw that door friggin' finally get opened in front of my face, and I was smart enough to walk through it this time and not be like, oh no, this was just an episode. Once I go home, I'll be fine. Like, I could have said that just as easy. Went back home and started the whole thing all over again, thinking I had it, So I'm very grateful that I actually walked through that stupid door that opened in my face so big. You know?
The truth.
Yeah, basically the truth. The big truth door opened, and thank God I was smart enough to walk through it. Because I wasn't smart enough for 28 years to walk through it. I closed the door and went around it. I went backwards and went back through the other door I had behind me. Because, I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to dive into all the years of pain and this and that and whatever it is. For anybody out there, it's like you don't want to talk about it. It's like you just think, oh man, it's the biggest thing I can tell people. They just think, and I did too for so many years, that it's just going to go away. It's just going to finally calm down. You think it's a storm that's going to blow itself out. And the waves are going to go back to calm and everything, and it doesn't happen. I can tell everybody it doesn't happen unless you get help. And that help could be a friend, could be just one person, could be two, could be a professional, but that could be just anybody. But you got to start. You just got to go through the door and start somewhere. I'm no expert at where to start, but I can tell you, find a friend, find someone, anything. Tyson would be better off to guide you which way to go, but
so you know what?
Find somebody,
You say you don't know, but actually you said it. So how you start is accepting where you are. And that was a hard part for you, was accepting the struggle, that you needed to actually walk through the pain. Because majority of the time, and this is what all the guys I've worked with, you included, Jay, is like, well, I'm going to try to go over it. Okay, no, that didn't work. I'm going to try to go around it. Shit, that is not going to work. You have to go through it. You have to go through the pain. The thing is as much as that might hurt in that moment, and it takes time. You said it perfectly. That took you years. Guys, you need to get this in your head. You've been living the wrong way for probably a good part of your life. Not just years, decades. You've been living the wrong way. So if you think this is just going to fix itself in 3, 6, or 12 months, you're out of your mind. Like, again, myself, in prison, a decade. 87,000 hours and counting. I'm still a work in progress. The thing is, prison, it set me up because of taking programs, having a parole officer, having correctional officers, having people to support me. If you think you're going to do this journey on your own, you're lying to yourself. You're going to fail. Because no great leader in history has ever been successful doing it their way. You look at any successful leader in history, you know what they always have in the room with them? Advisors. They have people there to guide them because they have maybe their eyes on something that you're missing. It's kind of like that sniper spotter analogy I'd used in a post for marriage. Same thing applies though. Right? You're fixed on fixing this issue. You're fixed. Your eyes are set on that. And if you don't have someone else helping you out during that time, you're going to miss certain things that they can see, that they have perspective on, that they've been through because they're more experienced than you. The best sniper isn't the guy with the gun. It's the spotter beside him. He's the better shooter. So guys, this is not about pride here. Your pride is what got you where you are. That's why you're sitting in a bad spot. It's probably why you're listening to Jay and I. That's why we're sharing all this stuff. Not because we're better. We're not better than you. We're not smarter than you. We just finally decided to face the problems that were costing us our purpose and our peace. So here's what I want for you guys. This is this week's challenge. So don't try to run all 7 principles that I shared at once. That's not going to work. That's an old trap, doing more than you can hold. So I just want you to pick one thing, one principle that I shared. Okay? If you don't know which one, start with the morning. That's usually always the easiest one. Start doing something for yourself first thing before your day really starts, before the wife's up, before the kid's up, whatever it is. Do it for 7 days. Win that first hour or the first 20 minutes, whatever your day gives you that day. Okay? hydrate, walk, gratitude, reflection, mobility, breath work, whatever you can deem to be necessary within that time frame. Then start your day. Okay? So 1, write down which principle you are weakest in right now. It's another thing, okay? Be honest with yourself. 2, pick the one habit that would move it the most and make it small enough that you can't fail. And 3, do it every morning for 7 days before you touch your damn phone. Delay gratification, okay? Before you touch your phone, that part matters. So win the first hour for yourself before you hand your attention away to everything else. So guys, principles, they're not rules that just someone handed you. They're the rails you lay down for yourself so that on your hardest days, you don't derail. And that's why I give you principles. I give you suggestions. I'm not telling you have to do everything exactly as I'm telling you, but these are things that have helped me and helped my clients, and they're proven. They're proven to work. So if one of these hit you today, then that's the one to start with. Not all 7, okay? 1, just 1. Master it, then add the next. And share this with one man who keeps going back and forth, who cannot seem to make the call on his own life. He's the one who needs to hear this. So, from Shadows to Strength, I'm Tyson with Jay, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks for tuning in.